This is Pretty Drops Necklace Tutorial Part 2. This is the necklace we are making in this particular video series, and as I said, this is Part 2, and it will begin exactly where Part 1 has finished. So I will put a link for Part 1 in the description box under the video player if you have not seen Part 1 yet. So let's go ahead and continue with where we left off in Part 1. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished my 6 units on either side. And as I said, count your units, not including your center. Make sure you have 6 on either side. And you are coming out of the 8 seed beads that you added to your last unit on the very top here, on both sides, so that you're prepared to make the next step on both sides. And we are going to make this unit a little bit differently than we've made these units. It's going to be closer to the unit on the bottom that we made first of all. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and pick up our beads basically the same as we have been doing, our 15 O's and our 8 O's, except for this time we're going to do 4 segments of 3 8 O's instead of 3, and we're going to add to this one that's on our necklace already as our 5th unit. So we will have 5 units in this one. So go ahead and pick up 2 11 O seed beads, or excuse me, 2 15 O seed beads, 3 8 O seed beads, and then 2 15s. And do that until you have 4 segments of 3 8 O seed beads. Oops, come here. Now, make sure that you have plenty of thread on your project when you get to this point. We will have to extend this side. I have a longer string on this side, and I've made sure that on this side I have a longer one. So I added thread, extended my fire line here on this unit. So you will have to extend your thread several times. Now we are coming out of this unit here. I've put onto my unit 4 segments of 8 O seed beads with 15 O's in between, starting with 15 O's and ending with 15 O's. So it's the same thing we've been doing, except for the fact we have 1 more segment. Now we're going to go through the opposite side of the 8 O's we're attaching to and pull this down. And we're basically going to do the same thing we've been doing in the first step. So we'll pick up 2 11 O seed beads, and we're coming out of, let me get situated here, we're coming out of these 8 O's here. We're going to go over the 15 O's and into the next segment of 8 O's. Like I said, just as we've been doing all along, it's just that now we have an extra segment. So again, 2 11 O's into the 8 O's, 2 11 O's into my next set of 8 O's, all 3 of them at once, 2 11 O's, into the 8 O's, come on, and 2 11 O's, and into the next set of 8 O's. Make sure that it's not all bunched and funny looking, and then go ahead and go up through the 11 O in your first set of 2 here, coming out between the 11 O's. We will do the next step as we have been doing. So we will go ahead and pick up 1 11 O, go into the 11 O's, and here on the inside we're still not going to add any 8 O's to this segment. So just go ahead and go through all 3 8 O's and the next 11 O here and exit. Then we're going to pick up another 11-0. And here is where we will have the 3 8/0s that will be our next unit. So we're going to go ahead and go through all 3 8/0s, pull the 11-0 between the 11/0s here, and pick up 3 8/0 seed beads. And then coming out this side, go into all 3 on this side. And then secure them. And because on this particular part of the unit, I can extend my fire line and come up through these 8/0s without impinging any of my beads, I'm going to go ahead and extend my fire line here, because I know that as I work through this last unit, it's going to be difficult for me to get enough thread and start my next unit. So I'm going to extend my fire line, and I'll be right back and we'll continue this new unit. Okay, so now as you can see, I've extended my fire line. This is the best spot to extend your fire line as you're working through these units. When you put your next 8/0 seed beads for your next unit on, because you can secure through them again and hide your knot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here. So I'm coming out of this set. I'm going to go through the set I'm attaching to and pull my knot in, and I still haven't hidden it. So what I'm going to do is go back through these again, pull it up through, and then I will go back through the 3 original ones that I'm attaching to. Now you cannot see my extension, and I am ready to continue my unit. So I'm coming out of the 3 8/0 seed beads. I need to continue putting my 11/0 in between and my 8/0s out here on the outside of the 3 8/0 segments for my crystals. So I'm going to go into this 11/0 seed bead, and then I'm going to pick up an 11/0 of my second color. I'm going to go into the next 11/0 and exit the 8/0 seed bead in the middle. So I'm just going to go through 2 8/0s. Then I'm going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, go back into the opposite side of the 8/0 seed bead I'm exiting from, and just suspend this little guy up here. Just lay him nice and neat. And then I'm going to go into the 8/0 behind the one I'm exiting from, and then up into the 11/0 here. Yeah, I have to do them one at a time. So then I'll go into this 11/0 here. I'm going to pick up an 11/0, and let's get a little closer just for a few, just so that you can see what I'm doing. Let's go into the next 11/0 and exit the second 8/0 seed bead. Pull that 11/0 down in between the 11/0s on your unit, and then pick up another 8/0 seed bead, like so. And then go into the opposite side of the 8/0 you're exiting from, and the 8/0 behind it, and if you can, the 11/0 here in the corner. And then straighten out the 8/0 you've just put on, pick up an 11/0, go into the next 11/0, and the 3 8/0 seed beads behind it, and the 11/0 behind them. Now we're going to sew all the way around until we get to this segment of 8/0 seed beads. And this time, when we put our crystal dangle in the middle, it's going to be a little bit different. We've been doing it out of this corner between these 2 sets of 8/0 seed beads. Now, in this particular unit, we're going to put it in a different spot so that it hangs correctly. So we're going to go ahead and sew. I'm coming out of this 11/0 here. I'm going to sew through this one and this one, and come all the way up into this set of 8/0 seed beads. And then I am going to go ahead, and you can either go through the 11 O's or the 15 O's. I'm going to go through my 15 O's here. And then I'm going to go through this set of 8 O's here. And now I am going to add my crystal dangle here. But this one is a little bit different because it's a wider area. We're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads instead of 2. And then we're going to pick up an 11-0. And then we're going to pick up our 6mm bicone and our 15-0 like so. So the only thing that's changed is we're picking up an extra 15-0 when we very first start picking up our series of beads. We're going to drop this down, and then we're going to go around the 15-0 just as we've been doing, up through the crystal, up through the 11-0, avoiding the 15-0s, and I'm going to hold my thumb over the top and pull my thread through. And then I'm just going to grab a hold of this 15-0 and tighten everything. And then again, I'll pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. Let me get back in here. Let's back off a little bit. Oh, 15-0 doesn't want to go on my needle. There we go. So 3 15-0 seed beads, and then I'm going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0s I'm coming out of, and slide through those 8-0s and the 11-0 behind it. Now, my dangle hangs center just like these do. Because we have an extra unit here, we have to change the way that we put that on. Now we're going to come up into the 11-0 that's peaking, and we are going to do a series of crystals along the bottom. This time we will do 2 segments instead of 1, so we will be using 4 crystals. We're coming out of the 11-0, so we'll pick up a 15-0, and then we will pick up a bicone crystal, 4mm, and we will come from this peaked bead here into the sticking out 8-0 seed bead and pull. Then we'll pick up a crystal and then a 15-0 seed bead and go into the peaked 11-0 in the center here. And again, we will pick up a 15-0 and a crystal and go through the 8-0. Then we'll pick up a crystal and a 15-0 and go through the peaked 11-0 here. Now we've got a curve in our necklace. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go up into the 11-0. We're coming out of this peaked 11-0. We're going to go up into the 11-0 behind it, the 3 8-0s, the 11-0 behind them. And we're going to sew back up to the top and exit our 3 8-0 seed beads just like we've been doing. Go ahead and sew through all the beads. This 11-0 is being difficult. Get up through here, and I will sew until I get to this set of 8-0s that's attaching my outside set of 8-0s, and I'm going to go ahead and go up through those 8-0 seed beads, and then here I'm going to start my next unit, and I'm going to go ahead and do this corner unit and the next unit, and then we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. So we want to go ahead and put in our next unit. Next unit will be a unit of 4, just like these units were. This is the only unit of 5 at this point. So let's go ahead and start another unit of 4. We're going to pick up 2 15-0 seed beads, 3 8-0s. And so, since this is a unit with 4 segments of 3 8-0s between our 15-0s, we will only need to pick up 3 segments. So pick up 3 segments of 3 8-0s, having your 15-0s in between, starting with 15-0s and ending with 15-0s, just as you had done all along before we made this last unit with 5. So bring these down, and as you can see, I'm missing some 15-0s. There we go. As you can see, I have 3 segments of 8-0s here. And then I'm just going to go back into my 8-0 seed beads I'm attaching to. I'm going to go ahead and put on all of my 11-0 seed beads all the way around. And we'll do this one together simply because we have to establish where we are going to put the crystal now that we've kind of changed our angulation. So now we will do them just a little bit differently. So go ahead and pick up all of your 11-0s, going over your 15-0s just as we've been doing, pulling them down between the 8-0s. And then as you get to your connecting unit, go ahead and go through the next 11-0 also, like so. Pick up your second color 11-0. This first segment is on the inside of the necklace, so we're not going to add any 8-0s to the outside. We're just going to go through all of them. And then the next 11-0 in the segment of 2 11-0s. Pick up your 11-0, go into the next 3 8-0s. Or excuse me, yes, 3 8-0s. This is where we are going to make our units connect on the very top here now. So we are going to add 3 8-0s and go into the 3 8-0s we're attaching to, and then sew through them both sets again to secure them. And then we will go through the 11-0 next to the 8-0s we're coming out of. Pick up our second color 11-0, go into 2 8-0s, and this is where we will add our extra 8-0 on the bottom. So pick up an 8-0, go into the opposite side of the bead you're attaching to, and the 2 beads behind it. Pull your 8-0 down to where it stacks neatly on top of the last, or on top of the one you're connecting to. Pick up 11-0, come up through the 8-0s, and now we have to make our crystal dangle. So we're going to sew all the way up through these 11-0s into these 8-0s, and we're going to exit these 8-0 seed beads right here. So go ahead and sew up through them. Mine are arguing with me, only because I'm trying to be quick, because I know that this video is going to be a long one. So I guess I'll just relax and stop worrying about it, because it doesn't make me any faster. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into the next segment, and we're going to exit these 8-0s. I'm wrong. The ones that you're attaching to for your next unit that has your 3 8-0 seed beads, those are the ones you're going to exit. Excuse me, I told you a lie earlier. Now, we're coming out of these three that have the ADOs on top. Here is where we're going to attach our crystals for now on. In each unit that goes up now, we're going to do the same thing we did on this unit. So we will need to pick up, because the unit is smaller, we're going to go ahead and just go back to our two 15-Os and an 11-O, and then we're going to pick up crystal and drop them down. Then we're going to pick up a 15-O and drop it down too. Go through the 15-O, or excuse me, go around the 15-O, through the crystal, and into the 11-O, just as we have been doing. Let me move my necklace here. We're going to go ahead and zoom in just so you can see this. It's not much different, but is a little different than what we've been doing. So we're attaching to these 3 8-Os here. I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-O seed beads. And I'm going to go into the side of, the opposite side of the 8-Os that I started in. And pull these 2 15-Os down. Straighten up my crystal, and that's what you should have. Now I can continue with making my crystals on the outside. So I'm going to turn this. I'm going to go through the next set of 11-Os, just the first 2, exit the one in the center, just like we've been doing, 15-O, and then a crystal. Come into the 8-O. Then pick up a crystal and a 15-O and come into the peaked 11-O here. Go through the 11-O and the 8-Os, and we're going to sew back around until we can exit the 8-Os here. Let me back off. So you always want to sew back up until you can exit your 8-Os and be ready for your next unit. So we'll just sew all the way around up through these 11-Os here. And then you're going to go through the 8-Os here, and then back up through the 8-Os that you added to the outside, and you're ready for your next unit. This side we're going to set aside because we have more things to do on the other side. We're going to do, let me back off so you can see, we're going to go ahead and put a unit on this side exactly the same as we did this side, and the unit on top. So go ahead and make this unit and this unit on this side, and we will come back and I will show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now as you can see, I finished this side the same way I did this side. As I sewed around after making my unit with just the 4 8-O seed bead segments, and I put all my crystals on, I came around and exited the 3 8-O seed beads that I attached this unit to. So as you can see, let's get real close. Make sure you have a nice long length of thread here too. If you need to extend, go ahead and sew up somewhere and extend where you can sew through your beads and exit right here on these top, because you need a pretty good amount of thread for this part. Now I'm exiting right here. Oops, come here. Right here. So I'm going to make a dangle now that goes across from this segment of 8-Os to this segment of 8-Os. So it's the top segment that we are exiting from on the first unit that you've made of 4 here. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to pick up 5 15-0 seed beads. Now this is a long series of beads, so I will show you twice. We're going to pick up 5 15-0 seed beads, and then we're going to pick up a 4mm bicone crystal, and then we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. And then we are going to, darn it, come here. Then we're going to pick up a 6mm bicone crystal, and then 3 15-0 seed beads. I'm going to drop these down. And then we are going to pick up a 4mm bicone crystal, and then we're going to pick up 3 8-0 seed beads. And drop these down. And then we'll pick up a 4mm bicone crystal and 3 15-0 seed beads. And drop them down. Then we'll pick up a large crystal and 3 15-0 seed beads. Then we are going to pick up 3 8-0 seed beads. Let me make sure I have this correct here. No, we're going to pick up a 4mm bicone crystal and then 3 8-0 seed beads. You'll see the pattern develop in a minute here. Then we're going to pick up a bicone crystal, 4mm, and 3 15-0 seed beads. Then a large crystal, and 3 15-0 seed beads. A 4mm crystal, and 3 8-0 seed beads. And here, now that we're at the center, we are going to pick up 3 more 15-0 seed beads, then a 6mm bicone crystal, and a 15-0 seed bead. Drop the 15-0 down to the crystal, go around the 15-0, and come back up through the crystal, but only the crystal. None of the 15-0s on the other side. Then grab a hold of the 15-0 on the bottom and pull your working thread so that your crystal and all of your beads here are nice and tight, no slack. Don't pull them so tight that they bunch, but make sure there's no slack. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side, following exactly what you did on this side. So pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, and then you'll pick up 3 8-0s and copy exactly this side on this side. And we will be back once you have picked up that series of okay, so I have picked up this side now. I am going to just stay focused on this for just a minute so that you can pause your video and look at this for reference if you need to, so that you can pick up the exact same beads that I have picked up in the same order, because I know that this works with this particular part of the necklace and will allow you to wear it around your neck without this part strangling you. So unless, of course, you're a bigger person, then you're going to have to make it bigger anyway and change this. However, this should work fine. So go ahead and pause if you need to, look at the exact order, and copy it. So I'll give a second for that. And now let's go ahead and go into the set of 8-0 seed beads that we started in on the opposite side. So we're going to go into this set right here, this, let me back off so you can see. We're in the bottom of this unit, the bottom set of the top unit, right here. So go into those 8-0 seed beads, and not the 11-0s in front of them or behind them. Just go into the 8-0s. Well, you can go in the ones behind them, that's fine. And pull that like that. Now I'm going to zoom in, so I'm going to make sure my both sides are exactly the same. Check it out. Make sure it hangs nice. And then I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's happening on this side of the necklace here. So what's happening is I have my thread up here for my next unit on this side, and I have my working thread from this side of the necklace over here also. So I need to get this working thread back over to the other side of the necklace. Right here I'm coming out of this 11-0 seed bead between the 11-0, the silver one, and the bronze one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a little knot right there. Make sure that the embellishment we just made doesn't have any slack in it. It looks nice. It's not bunched. And then just go down on the thread bridge between those two beads like so. Pull your needle through. Create a loop in your thread and go through that loop and pull that down into the between the beads here. Now we're going to turn this around. Make sure that's a nice tight little knot, and we're going to turn around and go back through our dangle. So we're going to go into this 11-0. We tied our knot right between these two here. We're going to go back in all three of these and exit. Now the reason I told you to have a nice long thread was because this takes a lot of thread, plus we're going to sew back through all of these beads, and there's a lot of 15-0s on here, so we want to make sure we can travel through them. So it looks like I'm just going to have just enough to go all the way through and then come up through my unit on this side. So I am going to again go through all the beads I just put on. Make sure everything looks good before you start your descent here, and then start going down into all these beads. So I'm going to sew through these 15-0s and this crystal, and I'm going to continue sewing all the way until I get to the bottom crystal here. I'll sew through the 15-0, come back up through this crystal, and sew all the way to this end. Now I don't want you to sit here and watch me do that, so go ahead and sew through all of your beads. Make sure you come down through your crystal, through your 15-0 again, back through your crystal, and all the way back over. And then we will be back as soon as we get to this side of the embellishment. Okay, so now I have sewn all the way through the entire embellishment, and I am coming out on this side again, my 5 15-0 seed beads here. I'm exiting the very last one. I'll get close so you can see. And as you can also see, I don't have very much thread left. So I'm going to try to sew all the way up here to my next area where I start my next unit, and see if I can get all the way through up there, and then I will extend my fire line, of course. So I'm coming out of these 5 15-0 seed beads. I'm going to go into these 8-0s, the 3 of them, and I'm just going to sew back up into the 8-0s, into the 11-0s, and I'm going to go around my original unit here all the way till I can get back into these 8-0s here. Into these 11-0s and these 8-0s, and I am just barely making it. I'm just going to have enough to extend. So I did pretty good in guessing how much I needed. Of course, if you start with a longer one, then you won't have to worry about it. But I did have a fairly long thread. So I don't like to work with more than wingspan, half a wingspan at a time. It just gets to be too much. It tangles and drives me crazy. So now I have brought my thread all the way through these 8-0 seed beads and then came through these 8-0 seed beads here. Now, as you can see, my thread is exiting this side instead of the inside like it has been all along. That's okay. At this point, I am going to go ahead and extend my fire line, and then I will show you how we can turn this around so that it's coming through the inside again and continue making our units. So let's go ahead. I'm going to extend it. I'll show you how to turn the thread around, and then we'll make 4 more units of the 4 on either side of the 4 segments of 8-0 seed beads. So these units, just like this, we're going to make 4 more on either side. Okay, so I have extended my fire line right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming out of the top 3 8-0 seed beads. I'm going to go into the bottom 3 here. And pull that knot through. Like so. Then I'm going to go back through. Now I want to turn my thread around simply because I could go ahead and build my units just the opposite of what I've been doing, but I don't want to confuse anyone. I want you to be able to follow the thread path as we've been doing. I want you to be able to go back to the video to previous units and be able to follow it without having to think your way through the thread path. So what I'm going to do is turn this around. Now, whether you had to extend your fire line or not doesn't really matter. You should be coming out of these 8-0 seed beads in this direction. So what you want to do now is you're coming out here, you're going to go in onto this thread bridge right between these segments of 8-0 seed beads. So just go in between like this and grab a hold of that thread bridge in between there. Create a loop, put your needle through it. If I can do it, there we go. Now, make sure that this goes up on this thread bridge right here, between the 2 segments of 8-0 seed beads, and then pull that knot down tight on that little thread there, and come back through. Now, your thread is in the same direction we've been working all along. Both of them are coming out of the inside of the 8-0 seed beads. Now you're going to go ahead and make the 4 units like we did here, the 4 segment units. So the ones with just 4 walls here instead of the one with 5s. You're going to make 4 on either side, including the ones we've already made. So go ahead and make 3 more on this side, 3 more on this side, and we will be back. Okay, so now as you can see, I have made my 4 units above these rounded units here. So the units with just 4 segments of 8-0 seed beads in each one, I have made 1, 2, 3, 4 on both sides above the rounded unit. Now we have made a V, we have made it go up the sides of our neck. So this is the front of our neck, sides of our neck. Now we got to go around the back of our neck. So we are going to do 2 more units on each side like these 2 units. We will actually do a double unit on each side of these 2 units. So what we have to do to accomplish that is we are going to pick up we're going to pick up 4 segments of our 8-0 seed beads and add it to the 5th one on the unit already, just like we did here. So we will make a rounded unit with the 5 segments. So this is how we're going to do this. Pick up onto your thread your 4 segments of 8-0 seed beads with 15 O's between them. Start with 15 O's, end with 15 O's. And then go into the opposite side of the beads you're coming out of and pull them into a circle just as we have been doing. And then we are going to go ahead and go around like we've been doing with our 11-0 seed beads on top of the 15-0 seed beads. We will go all the way around just as we've been doing all along. I will do this one full unit, and then we will do the rest of them on our own here, just so you can get an idea of where you're going to place your crystals. So we are going to go into these three here now. Let me get into the camera better here. Nothing new here, same stuff we've been doing. Now, I'm going to come up through my 11 O's on this side and add my extra 11 O. And remember, this most inside unit, you're not going to add any 8 O's to. You're going to pick up your 11 O, and you're going to go through all 3 8 O's here. And then the next 11 O. This top unit, after the inside unit, is where you will add your 3 8 O seed beads for your next unit. So go ahead and add the 11 O in between the 11 O's as we travel through here. So I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to add my 3 8 O seed beads right here. Just as we've been doing all along. We get a little closer in here. Go ahead and go through these 3. Now in this one, we're not going to add the center dangles. All of our units from this point on will not have these center dangle crystals. So don't think I've forgotten something as I finish this unit. I'm just not going to add them. So now my inside unit has no 8 O's, my top unit has 3 8 O's. I am now going to go into my 2 outside units, which will both have 1 8 O seed bead suspended. So I'm going to put my 11 O seed bead between my 11 O's, and I'm going to pick up an 8 O, and I'm going to go into the 8 O I'm coming out of on the opposite side, then go through the beads behind that 8 O until I'm exiting between the 2 11 O's, pick up an 11 O, do the same thing. Go through the 2 8 O's behind the 11 O next to the one you're coming out of, and then pick up an 8 O and go into the opposite side of the 8 O you're coming out of. Go into the 8 O and the 11 O behind the 8 O you're coming out of, and pick up an 11 O seed bead and go between the 11 O's here. Sew back through all of the beads behind the bead you're coming out of here. And then we're going to sew all the way through these beads so that we can get to these outside beads over here and add our crystals. We don't have to put a middle dangle, so we're just going to sew through all of them. And here. Just not the right angle here. There we go. And then through these here. Now, I'm coming out of these 8 O seed beads underneath the top 8 O's where we'll add our next unit. I'm going to go into 1 11 O behind those 8 O's and the peaked 11 O. And then I'm going to pick up a 15 O and a bicone crystal. And like we did on the corner unit down here, we are going to add 4 crystals instead of 2 as we have been doing on all of our other units. So pick up another bicone crystal, another 15 O, slide into the center unit. Then again, you will pick up a crystal and a 15-0 and go into the raised 11 or 8-0, and then pick up a crystal. Excuse me, I did that backwards. So when you come out of the 11-0s is when you pick up the crystal, or as you're going into an 11-0, you will pick up the 15-0, excuse me. So you pick up a 15-0 and then a crystal. So the 15-0 will always be next to the 11-0s, and just the crystal will be next to the 8-0. So I'm going to go into the 8-0, and now I'm coming out of the 8-0. My crystal will be right next to it, so I'll pick up the crystal first, and then the 15-0, and go into the 11-0 here. And I have successfully finished this unit. So now all I have to do is sew up and then back into these 8-0s. So we'll do that, and then we will do another unit exactly like this one on top of this one. So I will show you where we will begin that. And sew all the way up here. Turn this. I'm exiting these 8-0s here, coming up into these 3 8-0s, and I will start another unit exactly the same as I did this unit. So if you need to back up the video and watch this one again, that's fine. But by now, you should understand, if you're making the necklace, you should understand the units and how they work. So you know that you can add your next corner unit here, and then go over to this side and make the same 2 units here. So you'll make one like this here, and then you'll make another one like this on top of those 2 units. And then we will be back. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished my 2 units of 5-sided units on either side of the necklace. So now my necklace is curving in, and I can make the back of my necklace. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the units just as I have been making them. I'm going to make the 4-sided units now instead of the rounded 5-sided units. And I'm going to make 3 of them on either side. So we will just begin as we have done all of our units by picking up our 2 15-0 seed beads, and then 3 segments of 8-0 seed beads with 15-0s between them. So pick up 2 15-0s, 3 8-0s, and so on, until you have your regular 4-sided unit. Your 4th side is here. So we're going to come out this side. And now we will make our regular units, and we will have just the 2 unit crystal on the outside of these. We will not put a crystal on the inside of these either. They will just have the 2 crystals on the outside of the units. So go ahead and make 4 or 3 of your 4-sided units on both sides. Let me see, is that right? Yes, 3. And then we will come back after that is done, and I will show you how to clasp your necklace. Okay, so now as you can see, I have finished my 3 units without the crystal little dangle inside, and I am ready to clasp. Now this necklace looks like a really strange shape laying on the table. However, when you put it on your neck, it fits very nicely, and it lays very well around the neck. So we're going to put the clasp on. This is the type of clasp I'm going to use. However, I'm going to show you very quickly how to put on a toggle in case that's what you would like to do, because not everybody has this kind of clasp, but most everybody has this kind. So I'm coming out of these 8-0 seed beads here in towards the inside of my necklace, which is how I came through finishing my last unit. Now, to add a clasp like this one, what you will do is you will pick up 3, or actually 4 of your 11-0 seed beads. Let's do 3, and then 1 of the other color, just to make it cute. So I'm picking up 4 11-0 seed beads. Let's get in here so you can see. And I'm going to drop this down. And then I'm going to pick up my clasp and go through it. Let's go here so you can see better. And then I'm going to go back into the first 11-0 seed bead. Now you can make this an 8-0 seed bead. You can use as many seed beads as you want. I'm just showing you how to do it so that it'll lay correctly. You need to come back through 1 bead, whether it be an 8-0, an 11-0, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you come back through 1 bead or your clasping will not lay correctly. And then pick up 3 more for the other side. And come through the other side of the 8-0 seed beads, like so. And this is what your clasping will look like. Let me get very close, and you can just sew back up through all of them several times and around your clasp, back through your 8-0s, and then sew through your unit and be finished. But this is not the clasping I'm going to use. I just wanted to show you in case you didn't have the clasp I have. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And rethread my needle. Okay, so now I have rethreaded my needle and I'm ready to actually put my clasping on. This is the clasp I'm going to use. I'm going to keep it together so that I sew this on correctly. I'm coming out of these 8-0 seed beads here. Let's get in a little closer. And I'm just going to go up through this clasp, one of the loops, like so. Then I'm going to go back through the same side of the 8-0 seed beads I'm coming out of and up through all 3 of them. I know my hand's in the way. I'll get it out of the way in a second here. And pull this up through. Then I'll arrange my clasping like so. Now, just go into the next loop, go up through it, go into the 8-0 seed beads again, and pull. Arrange it so it's nice and it sits well, like so. And then just continue sewing the same way. I'm coming out of this side of the 8-0s. I'm going to go into this loop, go around the loop and into the 8-0s on the same side. Slide through the 8-0s and then go up through the loop on this side. Pull it in, arrange it, and go through the 8-0s on this side. And that's how you're going to sew this on. Let's get real close for 1 minute and do it one more time. Let's see, right about there. So I am coming out of these 8-0s. I'm going to go up through this loop, go around the loop, go into the 8-0s. Then I'm going to go into this loop, go around the loop, and go through the 8-0s. You can do this as many times as you'd like until you feel like you have comfortably got enough thread around there that isn't going to break, pull, or wear. So I'm going to go one more time and then I'm going to show you how to end this side. Okay, so I have got a sufficient amount of thread through there. You can use wire protectors if you'd like. You can use seed beads on the side, if you, whatever you feel like you need to do. For me, this is fine. This works out well. I'm coming out of these 8/0 seed beads here. I'm going to grab the thread bridge in between the two columns of 8/0 seed beads, and I am going to create a loop and put my needle through it and pull a knot down on that thread bridge. And then I'm going to sew through these 8/0 seed beads here. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go under the thread bridge between the two columns of 8/0 seed beads. And I'm going to make a loop, put my needle through it, and pull a knot down between those two columns. Just do it slowly so that you can make sure it goes down where you want it to, like so. I am going to back off. I think I'm blurring. So a knot here, and then we're going to go up through these 11/0s here and just sew around this unit a couple of times until we feel like we have secured the clasp very well. I come through these 8/0s here, and I'm going to cut my thread off here. You can sew around the entire unit. You can do whatever you want. My video is very long, so I am going to just go ahead and end that there. I'm going to cut my thread, leaving an extra length to burn down. I get my lighter, and I'm just going to get it close to it, not light it on fire, hopefully, and just roll that thread in, like so. Now you're going to grab the other side, your other thread, and you're going to do the same thing. You're coming out of the bottom of this one here, so you're going to attach the bottom loop first. You're going to grab a hold of it, and go through it, and then go through the 8/0 seed beads. And here you can separate the clasp, put that side over there, and then connect the top one. Go through the top loop. This will pull it into place, go into the 8/0 seed beads, right here, like so. And continue doing that exactly like we did this side. Tie it off, or tie knots, sew around it, cut it off, burn down the extra thread, and we will be back. My friends, is what we have just made. Now I bent the back of the necklace down so that you can see potentially how it's going to lay on the neck, because you're not going to see the funny shape that it looks like when it's laying flat all the way out. You're just going to see this part. That's what it looks like on the neck. Without that, it looks kind of odd shaped, and it's difficult to give you an impression of how pretty it actually is, because it looks really funny. But it is an actually a very, very pretty necklace, and it hangs very nice on the neck, and I think you're really going to enjoy wearing this one. If I can pick it up and show you what it looks like. I just can't do it. The angle of my camera is just wrong. But anyway, that's what that looks like, and I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you try to make one yourself, because though I felt as if I struggled with this a little bit, I hope you are able to follow it well and enjoy wearing this really pretty necklace. Have a good day. Bye-bye.